On August 7, 2020, officers Jordan Horn and Dalton Martin of the McDowell County Sheriff's Office of West Virginia visited the 66-year-old named Donnie Harrison and his wife Ventress, who is 63, as they were sitting on the front porch of the house, which was rented from the ex-military officer named Jason. The deputy came in and asked questions related to 4 marijuana plants that were planted nearby. So let's watch the video further and see what happens.
Just because in the season that we're living in, I think it's important that I have your names.
What do you mean, man?
A lot of crazy stuff going on.
When the law enforcement officials came to the Harrisons' home, the elderly woman greeted them by saying "season" before inquiring about the officers' identities. When the officer inquired as to what she meant by that, she responded that there are numerous occurrences taking place and that she's inquiring about the name of their security.
Police officers in this area to come up and say, "Are you growing marijuana?" That is preposterous to me.
It's just a question, man.
Yeah, well, I get that.
She gives off the impression of being irritated as she asserts that the officers from the surrounding area came and questioned them if they were growing marijuana there, which the speaker finds to be a ridiculous request.
And so then my only question to you is your names, just so it's okay in my own heart and mind. And when I say the season we're living in, you know the season we're living in.
Y'all concerned about something over here at this house?
In order to defend himself, the officer claims that it is only a question, to which the lady responds in an unprompted manner that she understands, and she's merely requesting the officer's name for her own mental and emotional well-being.
This house?
No, that house.
Yes.
What's the problem?
Who lives there?
Mr. Ferguson, he's probably there now, he's 79.
Jason, the owner of the residence, interjects himself into the conversation and inquires of the police about whether or not they checked the other house, where the police will inquire about the person who resides there by asking for their name.
All right. What's your name, sir?
Jason Tart.
Jason Tart.
Tart.
And what do you mean by the season we're living in, ma'am?
Sir.
What do you need? You got any questions for me?
No, I'll collect some information from you in a minute, your name and date of birth and such.
The lady responds to the person who's living in that house.
What do you need my information for?
You own these 2 homes, correct?
What
Okay,
these 2 homes got to do with that?
These 2 homes is near that marijuana grow, so I'd just like to have your name.
You know how many people go through here?
I understand.
That's
Well,
not going to...
The officer then asks the name of the individual standing beside the lady, where Jason introduces himself and asks the lady what does she mean by the term season, in which the owner of the house jumps in and says what the officer requires.
Do you one bit of good?
Well, sir, I'm going to need your name and date of birth, and I have that.
feel comfortable giving you my name
Where the officer replies by stating he is just collecting information.
and date of birth.
Okay, well, this is a criminal investigation. You own these 2 homes, so by law, you do have to give me your name and date of birth, sir.
If he gives you a reason, yes, you do.
Reason for what?
Because of the marijuana grow.
It's not on my property.
Okay, well, again, I have reason to believe that.
Jason asks why is he collecting information, to which the officer replies that he owns the property and his property is nearby where the marijuana was grown. Jason responds that it's not on his property. The officer states that he believes it can be a possibility that the nearby houses are also connected with the marijuana planting, so Jason has had to give his name and date of birth due to law regulations.
Scared
Who
you
says that?
by asking you a question,
Who comes up and asks? That's crazy.
and it scared you?
I'm trying to understand what
It scared you by me asking you a question.
Growing marijuana?
And that's a question. To say somebody scared you because they asked you a question is ridiculous.
That's preposterous.
Go ahead and give me your name, sir.
Wait.
First name.
It's ridiculous to you, sir.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
it's not ridiculous.
Your
over
first
here.
name.
I'm not giving you my information.
Sir, if you refuse to give me your information, I'm going to arrest you.
That's fine. My property has nothing to do with any marijuana whatsoever. You're going to arrest me if I don't give you my name and date of birth.
It's obstructing an officer.
Jason Tart initially refused to give his name and date of birth when the deputies requested it. He argued that the alleged marijuana plants were not on his property and therefore he did not need to provide his information. However, the deputies insisted that he was required by law to provide his name and date of birth due to the proximity of his properties to the alleged marijuana plants.
No, I'm hindering you from
This
doing
is
your job.
really going out on officer.
Yeah, this is how you guys.
This is bad.
This is
112 control.
This is how you operate.
This is harassment.
I'm hindering you from doing your
That's
job.
why I needed their.
Y'all need to go inside. Again, you two go inside. Go inside.
I'm afraid.
Go
now,
inside.
I'll tell you the truth.
Go inside. No, go inside as of right now.
Tell me why.
Go inside.
What are you doing?
Step off the
man?
porch. Step off the porch.
I'll step off.
Go inside.
What are you doing? This is unnecessary for
Sir,
you to be
go
doing
inside.
This. He's standing on his own porch.
Go inside.
During the interaction, when Mr. Harrison began filming the encounter between the deputies and Mr. Tart, Deputy Martin forcefully pushed the Harrisons into their home. He specifically pushed Mr. Harrison into the doorway and closed the door behind him, effectively preventing him from continuing to record the incident.
Come on.
Look,
Walk.
man, don't.
Walk.
Listen.
Sir,
You don't
stop.
have to listen,
You're
man.
being recorded.
Listen. This
Just
is
walk.
listen.
Walk.
Listen.
Walk.
Listen. I can walk.
Walk
I can walk
Okay,
without
well,
you
walk.
putting your damn hands on me.
Walk
You
to the
understand?
vehicle.
I have not broken the law.
The officers forcefully started putting handcuffs on Jason. He tried to stop the cop and told them he can walk wherever they want him to, but don't put the handcuffs on, stating that he didn't break any law to be handcuffed.
Walk to the
At
vehicle.
all.
Well, walk to the vehicle,
Don't
sir.
put
You're
your
being
damn
recorded.
hands on me. I give
Sir.
you no reason to touch me.
I'm going to arrest you then. Place your hands behind your back.
Uncalled for.
Place your hands behind your back.
Put your hand behind
Place your hands behind your back.
Listen.
Just relax, okay?
Listen.
Just
you
relax.
Place your hands
okay?
behind your back. Please place your hands behind your back.
My hand is behind my.
Place your
It
hands
only
behind-
takes one of you.
Place your hands-
Look, let him do it.
The officers then directed Jason to walk towards their vehicle. Still, the argument was going on, and Jason stated that it was all uncalled for. The police officer put the handcuffs on Jason at that point and told the other officer to leave his hand and let the other officer put on the cuffs.
He owns two properties right here on this fabulous drive road. We located a marijuana grow, probably not 100 foot, 50 foot from this last property of his, and he just won't give us his name, date of birth.
The officers took Jason towards their vehicle, made him sit inside, and updated their heads about the situation, stating that Jason's not providing his ID and credentials when asked for, and lives approximately 50 to 100 feet away from the scene where the marijuana was found.
Male, white male, black male.
Black male.
The person on the other end asked about Jason's appearance, and when heard that he was a black man, the officer put marijuana inside the car's back as a piece of evidence, due to which Mr. Jason was charged with obstruction of the law officer, but the case was allegedly dismissed as the prosecutor on October 2020, as Officer Martin failed to appear in front of the court. The statement highlights that despite the potential challenges posed by qualified immunity, it acknowledges that the deputies did not behave in a professional, calm, and polite manner throughout the encounter. It recognizes the efforts made by Mr. Jason and the Harrisons to exercise their constitutional rights and take appropriate legal action following the incident. The statement commends their courage in initiating a lawsuit after their rights were infringed upon. It expresses curiosity about the outcome of the legal issues involved and how they will be resolved in the future.